United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Matt, if we could please have the roll call.
Councilor Demas,
Here.
Pedri,
Here.
Dickerson,
Here.
Zadi, Hanson,
Here.
Batolo,
Here.
Robinson,
Here.
Thompson,
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. First up this evening, we have the consent agenda. On it, we have the City Council meeting minutes of September 3rd, 2024. We have a first-term appointment of Susie Von Ahrens to the Beautification Tree Committee, a first-term appointment of Heather Aguayo to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and a second-term appointment of Sue Lozier to the Urban Renewal Agency Commission. Under officer and staff reports, we have the Health Insurance Fund recap from August of 2024, the financial report summary of June 2024, the Department of Audit F66 Annual City and Town Financial Report and Annual Report Summary, and I'm going to pause there because that reminds me that I need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Okay, Councilor Hickerson moved and Councilor Hanson seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, we will resume with the 2024 Weed and Pest Control Summary. Under the Council and Committee and Board Reports, we have the Specific Purpose Tax Joint Powers meeting minutes of August 12, 2024, the Main Street Board meeting minutes of August 12, 2024, and the Rock Springs Historical Museum Board meeting minutes of August 14th, 2024. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Patola. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to bid openings. Tonight, we're opening bids on the White Mountain golf carts. First up, we've got Messick Distributing Incorporated, and they are from Gering, Nebraska.
Did you say Messick?
Yeah, it's M-A-S-E-K, Distributing Inc. Looks like their net bid amount is $298,880.
298.
880.
880.
Okay. I don't think so. No. A bid bond. Next up, we have Intermountain Golf Carts, or golf cars, from Sandy, Utah. It says one's required. You might look through there and see if I missed one. The net bid amount for them is $395,524. Got me. And the final bid is from RMT Equipment from Murray, Utah. And the net bid amount for them is $331,819.68. Okay, we will turn that over to staff and look forward to their evaluation and recommendation. Which brings us to presentations and proclamations. And first up, we have Kayla McDonald, the Economic Development Specialist with the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Kayla McDonald. I am the Sweetwater Economic Development Coalition Economic Development Specialist. And before you tonight, I have a presentation on what SEDC has been working on since the beginning of the year. First, I just want to recap. Back in 2023, April of 2023, we partnered with the Wyoming Business Council to conduct a strategic planning session and identified the 3 initiatives that our coalition would be focusing on in terms of economic development. And we identified business retention and expansion, marketing and communications, and also business recruitment. And that is the cover page of your beginning of your packet. Before I get started, I also would like to identify one of our members. Marty Crollo is in the audience as well of our board. So thank you for being here, Marty. And business retention and expansion for 2024, we launched a business retention program in May, and we started doing site visits, going out and visiting with local businesses. We've started doing some in Rock Springs and Green River, and the general consensus of those discussions when we're sitting down with business is that everybody is concerned about what these new Trona plants and expansions are going to look like for our community and how that's going to affect them, and then what workforce training initiatives are available. So through partnering with the state of Wyoming and the Wyoming Department of Workforce Services, there's some options available for business for workforce training grants, as well as some programs that they are looking at for trades and internships. So there's availability of that. So we're trying to get that messaging out. Also, while doing these visits, we have discovered that a lot of our businesses are not aware of the resources that the community college offers. So we have started putting together some meetings with the manufacturing and industrial technology department up there and the new president, and bringing in our businesses, and even to the newest members of our community, Pacific Soda, has expressed an interest as well in getting in front of the staff and faculty at the college and learning more about what they have to offer for workforce training. So we are helping facilitate those discussions. We've also assisted with several existing businesses that are looking for succession planning, partnering with the Wyoming Business Council and giving those resources. So we are very fortunate for those partnerships with our state entities. Some goals for our business retention program in the future are to continue to work with our business community and getting out and doing the site visits, learning more about what businesses we have in Sweetwater County and how those can contribute to future expansions and be resources to existing business. Another event that we are looking at possibly bringing back is a Meet the Experts. This is something that we put together back in May of 2018, where we partnered with our 2 cities and the county to put on the National Economic Development Week. This is an event where we bring in all the experts for small businesses to get in front of, pitch their business ideas, maybe sit down with a counselor on how to fund a project, even into the SBDC. So this is something we're going to look at doing as well. We've had some requests for that. So our marketing and communications, we have put together radio shows where we started going on with Johnny K and bringing in some of our community partners. You might have heard the most recent update from our chairman, Mark Cowan, and also Blaine Tate, who have come in and they've discussed housing. We've brought in partners from Pacific Soda to talk about their projects, and different members of our advisory board who serve in capacities outside of what they do for our board. So that's one way we're getting our word out to the community and helping them understand what economic development is going on in our county. One other thing that we did this year is we partnered with Western Wyoming Community College and brought in an intern for our marketing and social media, which led that student to decide to start a business, and the opportunity for her to come on as a contract employee for us. So she's doing all of our social media. She did a beautiful job preparing this presentation for you tonight, and we're very excited to have her on board, and we think that's quite a win for us to see a student come into a position like that and be successful. And goals for our marketing and Communication Program. I'm hoping to bring her before you guys this fall so she can introduce herself and talk about her initiative to do some marketing campaigns and then put together an e-newsletter for us, just so the community can get more information, not just from our social media, but have a direct location to go and pull anything that we're working on as far as initiatives and projects. Our last initiative of our goals and strategic plan is our business recruitment. We have worked with the Wyoming Business Council on 7 business council leads. Those numbers are small, but they're actually ramping up. We got 2 new ones this week already. So those are everything from manufacturing into some new types of energy production. So we're excited to have those back on our list and being back to actively recruiting those. As you recall, we were pretty successful in recruiting Keltec in 2022. That was one of our big wins with the Business Council. We also have done some outside of the state marketing in some site selection magazines to get our community out there and show what we have for economic development opportunities. We have quite a bit of still vacant buildings out there that are ready for the next big project. We are working currently with the Wyoming Business Council on a program called Insight Consulting. It's a site selector that they've hired. It's free to us, and they're working with other communities in the state to go out and actually help us fulfill some of these vacant buildings. So what we're doing is we propose the Halliburton building that is vacant still as something that we're looking to hopefully find a connection with and maybe get that vacant building filled. So they will come out and they will help us put together the right marketing materials, how to basically court or do what they call a FAM tour, which we've done in the past, where you take the entity out and you educate them on your community, show everything from housing, education, quality of life, and get them in the community so they know exactly what they're coming into if they select your community. So that is something that we are currently working on, and it will be a full year project, and they will be here in November and then do a follow-up visit in February. So we're pretty excited to be selected for that. And then in partnership with the UNA County Economic Development, SEDC is partnered to do a comprehensive economic development study. And this strategy will help us identify future needs for what we have here in the county. As a partnership, it's got to be regional. So we are currently working with our grants writer to do that right now. She is putting together a grant application. We'll probably come back before you when we get some more information on how that's going to look. But that is something that we've identified as a county that is a need. There has not been one since 2019, and that was the Great Divide Economic Development Council that put that together. So we're refreshing that and getting more information on that. And lastly, in that packet, you can see the statewide participation that we've had SEDC involved in. I served on the RMP task force for the governor back in November, and then in January. It was a great opportunity. I learned a lot, and I appreciate the governor for selecting me to represent economic development. And I was most recently asked to serve on the Wyoming Chamber of Commerce Board. This is a new board that has been put together through some initiatives in Cheyenne. So I've been asked to serve as the economic development liaison, and then still serving on the Wyoming Board of Economic Development Association, WEDA. So we have some representation from our side of the state on these boards. And lastly, the Wyoming Working Together Conference will be here in October. I invite you all to attend. This is a great opportunity to get in the room with other economic developers. You'll have Main Street people represented throughout the state, as well as chamber members. So come on down to the events complex. If you're interested, give me a call. I can give you the agenda. We'd love to have you come and learn what initiatives the state is looking at for economic development. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Very good. Council?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Kayla, what ways are you letting know businesses out there that they can go after these training grants? And how are you getting out there to let them know about it?
So this is one initiative that we're doing, is going out and doing those site visits and taking the information with us. I do want to commend the Workforce Development Office here. They got before the chambers, and they have talked about this as well. So trying to do our part in it as well. And we have the information on our website, and we've also shared on our social media.
One of the biggest things you hear when you talk to a lot of the businesses here is we just can't find people, qualified, trained people, and these training grants could be extremely important. So getting that out there to the existing businesses is, I think, key.
I was talking to one of our federal partners, and their position is similar to Kayla's, where it's economic development. And she said that what she has learned is that by default, she has become a housing specialist because you need the workers in order for the economic development to happen. And that is beyond the scope of SEDC, but it is certainly a huge challenge all across our state. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you. We certainly appreciate you coming to update us, and congratulations on all of your work. And then you were selected for a Woman of the Year.
Yeah, the Women of Distinction in the economic development category. So
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Appreciate that. And thank you for your time in supporting SEDC as a partner in our three-way MOU. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Next up, we have Michelle Foote, the site manager for Wyoming Waste Systems, presenting on a proposed fee adjustment. And hopefully I got your name correct. Perfect.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Michelle Foote. I serve as the site manager for Wyoming Waste. First, I'd like to express my sincerest gratitude to you and the residents of Rock Springs for trusting our local team in your preferred waste service provider, for over 30 years. They first started back in 1992 and have been here since that time. Since 1992, Wyoming Waste has proudly served Sweetwater County with residential, commercial, and construction waste collection. Our team of 26 employees consists entirely of local residents who live, work, and raise their families right here in the community. Guided by our core values of safety, integrity, customer service, and fostering a positive work environment, we prioritize safety above all for both our community and our employees. In addition to delivering safe, friendly, and effective waste hauling services, we are very proud of our many community partnerships, support for nonprofit organizations, and sponsoring local events, including Sweetwater County Fair, the Ray Lovato Recycling Center, citywide cleanups in both Rock Springs and Green River, International Days, Humane Society, the Flaming Gorge Days, Cowboys Against Cancer, the Green River Pond Tour, Bears and Brews Festival, or Blues and Brews, various other nonprofit organizations upon request. To continue to provide the highest quality waste removal services for Rock Springs, we are requesting an adjustment to the current ordinance on collection fees. Due to the increasing costs related to fuel, insurance, labor, and materials, we respectively propose a fee increase of $5, resulting in a $1 increase annually over the next 5 years. Just to let you know, for future Wyoming Waste, we will begin offering a yard waste service to the Rock Springs residents starting this summer of 2025. This would be an every other week service. We would only be taking grass clippings, as that is what is instructed by the landfill. And as I have spoken with Dan, at the landfill manager, he is also in support of this service. I want to thank you for your time and consideration. It is an honor for Wyoming Waste Systems to be part of the Rock Springs community, and we are proud to be a positive contribution. Our team remains dedicated to continue to provide waste removal services for many years to come.
Council, do you have any questions or comments?
Go ahead.
Your Honor, when was the last time you guys were able to ask for a fee increase from the
It was
city?
2018, I believe.
I was just say it's always tough to be the person to come in here and ask for an increase in something like this. It's not a popular role to have, but I think that's just my own 2 cents. I think that's a reasonable proposal, an increase of $1 a year over the next 5. And I think understanding the cost of insurance and fuel would definitely necessitate it. So I would be in support of it. But thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Tim.
Are there any accommodations if somebody is unable to pay?
Yes, we have, it's a case-by-case basis. We've made some accommodations. We've made, we have a senior rate that is lower than the advertised residential rate. We have fetch and return services that are available to residents that can't physically get their cart to the street at no additional fee. If somebody goes on vacation, we have snowbirds. We don't require them to pay for the service or even a rental fee on the container. They just stop their service, put it on what we call a seasonal hold until they return. So there are some accommodations to be made, yes.
Thank you. Perfect. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Councilor Batolo was wondering about the senior rate.
62 and older and give me a call.
Very good. Thank you so much. Okay. We have 3 proclamations this evening: Clean Energy Week, National Recovery Month, and National Service Dog Month. Is there anyone here who would represent any of those groups? Which one? Oh, very good. Then I will invite you up when we get there. First up, we have Clean Energy Week. Across Wyoming, clean, renewable, and readily abundant forms of energy are powering more homes and businesses than ever before. The generation of power from coal, natural gas, and nuclear plants plays an important role in meeting the needs of our communities and lowering energy costs. Clean energy is part of Wyoming's energy infrastructure and future. It includes generation from sources such as coal, but it also includes nuclear, natural gas, and carbon capture technologies, as well as energy storage. New energy investments serve to increase access to affordable local energy resources that keep energy dollars circulating in local economies and create new jobs and businesses. Wyoming's energy jobs contribute to local economies and advance the state's workforce and economic development into the 21st century. Wyoming produces enough coal, approximately 600 tons per hour, coupled with natural gas to make 2,000 megawatts of power. That is enough energy to supply approximately 1.5 million homes. The largest known uranium reserve is hosted in Wyoming and is the leading producer in the United States. Uranium is used as fuel in nuclear power plants that generate electricity. Energy powers our economy and virtually everything we rely on, from food, housing, cars, clothes, cell phones, and other key components of commerce. It's crucial that we come together with solutions to reduce energy costs, increase supplies for Wyoming, and work to utilize the many resources available throughout our state. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare September 23rd through September 27th, 2024 to be National Clean Energy Week in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming. And I encourage all of our citizens and local business owners, as well as local governments, corporations, and other organizations across Wyoming to support common sense solution to address the United States' evolving economic and energy needs. Next up, we have National Recovery Month. For the month of September, we recognize more than 50.2 million Americans who are in recovery for substance use disorders and mental health problems. 40.3 million people aged 12 or older have been identified as having a substance use disorder, and 14.2 million adults aged 18 and older have a serious mental illness. National Recovery Month promotes and supports new evidence-based treatment, recovery practices, and the dedication of service providers and communities who make recovery possible. This year, the theme of National Recovery Month is the art of recovery, recognizing the transformative power of creative arts in advancing recovery. By showcasing art as a tool for growth and self-discovery, the project seeks to break down societal stigmas and foster greater understanding and support. National Recovery Month raises awareness of the diseases and educates communities about the treatment and recovery resources that are available. As a community, we need to recognize the achievements of those who have realized long-term recovery and share with others how recovery positively benefits society as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby proclaim September 2024 to be National Recovery Month in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and I call upon our citizens to take action to promote recovery and improve the mental health of our community. Which brings us to National Service Dog Month. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and whom you represent? I mean, I know who you are. If you'd introduce yourself and who you represent, if
I
anyone.
will.
Thank you.
Susan Arguello. I'm with the Women's Club of Sweetwater County and the General Federation of Women's Club, of which the Women's Club of Sweetwater County is a part of, is a big supporter of Canine Companions. We support them and feel it's a very important organization. We encourage people to donate and to help this organization so that more dogs can be trained. The local organization has also purchased vests for police dogs and so forth. So we ask the community to be very supportive of this.
Very good.
Thanks.
In the United States, 64 million adults and children have a disability, and only 16,000 service dogs from accredited training programs exist nationwide. The need is growing. Canine Companions, established in 1975, is a nonprofit organization that enhances the lives of people with disabilities by providing expertly trained service dogs and ongoing support to ensure quality partnerships. Canine Companions and their service dogs empower people with disabilities to lead life with greater independence by providing best-in-class training, ongoing follow-up services, and a deeply committed community of support. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, 69 million U.S. households have at least one dog. National Service Dog Month aims to educate our community about the benefits of service dogs and the laws protecting them. The City of Rock Springs continues to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens and their service dogs are welcome. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby proclaim September 2024 to be National Service Dog Month in recognition of service dogs and the adults and children with disabilities in our community. If you want to join us, we'll grab a photo.
I'm sure someone has something to say.
Okay, that brings us to our public hearing. So I will open a public hearing on an application to amend the official zoning map from low-density residential R2 to community business zone B2 for a parcel of land totaling 1.069 acres on Muir Avenue. Would anybody like to speak to this? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and move into petitions and public comment. I would note, we did have a workshop prior to our regular council meeting, and I don't want to, in any sense, dissuade anybody from speaking, but we have come up with a plan to address the signing wall in the green room at the Broadway Theater that I think is not necessarily the approach that I'm most comfortable with, but I recognize that that is an opinion. And I've checked with Mr. Beckwith in terms of law and how that all functions, that will, I think, allay people's concerns. We'll be bringing a resolution forward in October that will preserve the wall as it is, but not allow new signatures on it, and it's running out of room anyway, and then come up with a portable wall for people to sign, with the only consideration being that we ensure there's a process that every performer is invited to sign. So that's where we've landed on that, and there will be a vote in October. But having said that, y'all are more than welcome to share your thoughts with us. Just identify who you are and if you represent an organization, the name of that organization.
Your Honor, If I can just throw something in there real quick. One of the things that we discussed during this was basically having a large, like perhaps like a canvas on a roller that it could be rolled out and signed. Prior to the council meeting, I was approached by a constituent who said that another thing that could be done is the poster or the playbill for each event be signed by the cast and then framed and then maybe put up on a wall. And it could be portable. You can move it. You can rotate them out based on the amount of space available. But that was just one of the other options that was thrown out to me, and I thought it was a pretty good idea.
Very good.
I'll just speak on that real quick. I'm Kenny Starling. I'm with the Starling Company. I'm also the lead singer of Atlas Falls, a local band. I think that that's a very fair compromise, is to preserve it for what it is while also not adding to it in the future, with the caveat of something else being available for the tradition. That's all I'll add. Also, come see Rocky Horror, starring Councilman Robinson as Rocky.
Good evening. My name's Dawn Dale, and I'm here to speak about the amendment to allowing dogs to be walked in the cemetery. My dog and I both need exercise, and the cemetery is the safest place for us to walk near my home. When I walk on the sidewalks, dogs in their yards run and bark at the fence, which is natural, but it scares me and my dog. I just read about a woman who was walking her dog by Eastside School and was attacked by two larger dogs. The traffic speeding by is also a safety concern. During the winter, the sidewalks don't all get cleared, and they're very slick, but the cemetery is kept cleared. There's also good lighting in the cemetery. I've been walking in the cemetery almost every day, and I rarely see dog poop there. I do see other responsible dog owners walking their dogs on leashes and staying on the paths. While walking, I often pick up beer cans and other garbage. On the rare occasions that I have seen dog waste, I've picked that up too. Unfortunately, there are those who ruin good things for those of us who are responsible, but I hope that the council will not punish the majority for the mistakes of the minority. Those who don't pick up their dog waste are unlikely to follow the rules and stop walking in the cemetery anyway. I feel sorry for the person who has nothing better to do than cause stress to people who just want to walk their dog in peace, or to hassle the actors who just want to follow their culture and sign their names on the theater wall. Please vote yes to pass the amendment to allow dogs on leashes in the cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to speak. My name is Laura Dale. I am also here to speak in favor of the Dogs in Cemetery ordinance. Rock Springs has a leash law. The people who may be letting their dogs run wild through the cemetery are breaking that law just as much as the ordinance that says no pets in the cemetery, and I would argue the leash law is much more important to follow. The people who are doing that are probably not going to change their behavior now. They've been doing it for years. And I believe that you're going to lose the responsible pet owners who are cleaning up not only after their own dogs, but cleaning up waste, such as Miss Dale said, the beer cans and perhaps other waste from other dogs. Additionally, the animal control is dealing with tons of loose animals all around town. They have overcrowded shelters. They're low on workforce, just as many places are in the town. They don't have the personnel or time to patrol the cemetery. It seems like not a great use of their time when they have so many other important things to be doing. The cemetery is a place where people from all around the surrounding areas enjoy walking. Talking with any of the people who actually walk in the cemetery, they have seen no issue with allowing responsibly leashed dogs to be in the cemetery. Everyone is very positive in the cemetery. Many of us walk there every day, multiple times a day, and know each other. Those against this ordinance aren't the people using the public space. They are keyboard warriors who have no care for community. It would be a disservice to the people of these neighborhoods to close off the cemetery to responsible pet owners enjoying the outdoors of our city. It would be downright disgraceful to tell grieving families they can't take their pet, a member of their family, to a loved one's gravesite. I hope you vote in favor of this.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Marty Carollo. I'm here representing All West Communications tonight. A little bit of history. When we started cable in 1956, we partnered with the cities to broadcast a PEG channel. It allowed all the residents who had TV back then, it was nearly 100%, to have access to the council meetings. Life has moved on. We sit here on YouTube TV right now, available to 100% of the residents, regardless of their internet service provider. And we still maintain our PEG channel availability for the city of Rock Springs. That PEG channel is dark. It shows as to be presented. So what I am asking for consideration, not necessarily tonight, but for you to consider, is to release All West from having that PEG channel active. Or if you choose to have it active for the 518 people that now have All West TV, as opposed to 12,000 when we were at our peak in 1992, that you give us a digital feed and that you present a 24-hour digital pegboard so that that channel shows active 24/7 for our customers and your constituents. So that's what I'm asking for your consideration, not necessarily tonight, but we would like to either be released from having that PEG channel available or to get a feed that is viable, functional, and utilizes that expense of putting that out. I stand for any questions.
Council, would you be comfortable with my consulting with staff and then bringing something forward in October?
Yes.
Sir, I can't stop you.
Tim.
Of your roughly 500 and some current customers, do you have a demographic on age?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Robinson, we call them our legacy customers. Though that is I hate to say it, a dying constituency. Yeah, it's people who have been with us for a very long time and haven't worked out. But in some of our conversations with them, many of them are they've already migrated to YouTube when they want to watch it. And I think you have the added benefit of it being available on file all the time. So if you aren't there, then you still have access to that content, which is a great feature for your constituents. Life has moved forward.
I have a question. What would this cost? Is there a cost on this?
So there is no cost to the city to have it. We're paying approximately $1,000 a month to stream dead airspace.
Okay.
That's part of our franchise. We're willing to pay that, but if it's going to be there, we would like to have something that's functional and viable. And it can't be just it would need to be a scrolling like we've had in the past. Technologically, it's pretty viable. It would need a computer that would have a PEG channel, something you could put on. There's value in it, of course, but is it value for 512 of your constituents?
Anyone else?
I will plan on meeting here with you at the October meeting.
Yep, but you don't have to come till 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I just have one quick question. We seem to be moving forward with this public hearing on the zoning change for Top Tech Auto. But we've asked several times and as of yet have not been given a timeline as to when this privacy fence can be built. I'm an adjacent landowner. The dust, the noise, the extra activity in a very old neighborhood is getting very hard to deal with. And all we ask is that we get that privacy fence around the perimeter. We were at the Planning and Zoning Committee about this. They had suggested that they do the interior of the walkway, but that had not been approved yet. What I'm asking is, can we please do the exterior, the perimeter of the property, somehow get that done?
Before I put my foot in my mouth with my, I've got about 40% of your answer. Paul, if you would please.
Your Honor, that really has nothing to do with the zone change itself. That would be addressed during the site plan stage. And I think she's referring to something that would also incorporate the walking path to the Bitter Creek project. So it kind of incorporates not only their site development, but also a future project of ours.
It was a part of our discussion around the sale of that land was that they would put up a privacy fence. So is there a mechanism where we can get some kind of time frame on?
It all depends on when they submit their site plan application.
Okay.
But it will be a requirement under that. It isn't necessarily a requirement under the zone change itself.
So I think the best answer is I'll call them and see where they're at and say, hey, I know that their intent is to be good neighbors. And so even if there's some sort of temporary fencing that they could apply for, because that was a part of the consideration of the sale of that property is that would be prioritized by them.
Right.
So I'll just follow up with them.
The perimeter, they own the property. The easement for the walkway can happen anytime. I'm asking for the perimeter, which they already own the property. The other question was, is there a timeline? I'm sorry, two questions.
You're fine.
Is there a timeline on when they're going to surface that parking lot, as we were told in the planning and zoning meeting?
Your Honor, there again, I can't give you a time frame on that because they haven't actually submitted the site plan.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I just typically though, and it's maybe give you some idea, we would do the zone change, then they would try to prepare a site plan and move forward. So this is the first step in that process. Then the site plan comes, approval through zoning. So we have 3 readings for the zoning change, and then a site plan and the meetings that would have to be attended for the zoning, the site plan. So we're looking through the next couple months before there's a approved site plan if everything moves.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Your Honor, Councilman.
Your Honor, before she steps away, I was down there last week and I agree there's an acre of vehicles and it is becoming an eyesore down there. So I think that should be a contingency upon the approval. Yeah, it's the lot's full.
Your Honor, is there any way that we could maybe suggest or request that they put up something temporary at least?
That's what I'm saying. I'll reach out to them and say, hey,
right.
You're may not be aware, but you're disrupting the residential area. And so if you can work with the city and come up with some kind of resolution, even if it's not the final outcome, so that we can address that in a more timely manner. Government grinds very slowly, but yeah. But I will call them and say, hey, can you come talk and let's see what we can come up with. Yes, ma'am. Sir?
My name's, excuse me, Gary G. I live at 321 Smith Street, and on the same subject as of the junkyard that's being installed behind my house on Muir Avenue. I also own another house on Muir Avenue at 810 Muir. So I have 2 properties that are involved in this. The concern that I have is that the vegetation has been scraped off of this property. The wind now deposits dirt all over the area. My vehicle every morning is covered in dirt with the Wyoming wind that we have. The vegetation is piled up and creating a burning hazard, fire hazard. There are presently 50 to 60 vehicles now parked there. Most of them do not have license plates, so therefore they're probably not insured. That is a junkyard. That's the definition of a junkyard. Is a plot of ground with vehicles unlicensed and uninsured sitting on it, especially when it's that many. I'd like to see the vehicles immediately towed to the county impound lot that are not insured or licensed. The other thing with it is the fence that she was talking about. Mayor, your interview with Sweetwater Now a few months ago said that you wouldn't mind helping a business out by getting them that piece of ground. It was not put up for sale by a licensed insurance or realtor. I, as a owner of property in the area, could not bid on it, and I'd like to see the whole process backed up.
So statutorily, when there is an economic benefit, the city is allowed to sell directly to a business. That property had sat there for better than 20 years with nobody having any interest or expressing any interest to the city. And then I know that all of the neighbors in that area were notified and given the opportunity to come and speak to us if there were concerns.
I was out of state and couldn't do that.
I'm sorry to hear that, but we did go through the process that is statutorily required. And the one concern that was brought to us was about the nuisance that it could cause, which is where the fencing came in. But again, as I told the earlier speaker, I'm happy to reach out to the business owner and have them come in and see what we can work out to mitigate some of those concerns. I had never met the representatives of that business prior to their coming to talk to us about acquiring the land due to the unforeseen growth of their business. And certainly the city always supports economic growth and development. It's a constant concern that we have. So I'm sorry that you were out of state and unavailable to come in and comment, but that is a closed matter.
So by me being a landlord owning property, other properties in the city of Rock Springs, is some of the other property that the city owns available for me to purchase at the reduced rate and things that this gentleman got on this property?
There was not a reduced rate. It was.
Was it appraised?
It was appraised, and he paid the appraised value. And certainly, if there is city-owned land that you're interested in, we'd be more than happy to hear from you and consider that, or anyone for that matter.
Okay.
And we will speak to them about the dust and the plant debris.
When I went to the office, the planning office, I was told that it was going to be an unpaved parking lot that would be covered with asphalt road grindings. So that would eliminate the dust. They did about, I'm going to say 50 feet of it. The other 100 feet or so is just a dust bowl.
And I will reach out to them, and we will come up with a resolution for those issues.
Okay. Are the city water trucks available to come and rinse out my gutters, the mud out of them from the rain washing it off my roof down into my gutters?
That I couldn't speak to, but I would imagine if nothing else, winter will resolve it. But I am happy to ask the streets department if they have availability to come flush some of that away.
And I have one more comment. Didn't know that there was anything to do with dogs in the cemetery. I know the cemetery that they're talking about. I cannot see the city banning walking dogs in the cemetery for the simple fact that people walking their dogs through there is a neighborhood watch program that keeps vandalism out of the cemetery.
It is currently prohibited, and the ordinance change would be to allow it. So that's what's up for consideration tonight, is to change the ordinance from dogs are not allowed, and also, again, children, and to instead permit them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, I would like to make one more comment.
Yes, sir.
Top Tech, which is this zone change ordinance, they were given a temporary use of that property until the property sale went through, this zone change goes through, and then they will do an official site plan. Part of that provision was that they did put in the rotomill. I will look and see if they're using more than what they were allotted in that temporary use. And the other thing is no, we will not go on to private property and wash somebody's gutters.
Okay.
Can I show you a picture that I took 2 hours ago of the property where the rotomill is put in and the amount of cars without license plates that are parked there?
I will go and verify that.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Max, City Council, my name is Shirley Ann Sakali, and so I have two things. I'm not going to stay long, but that workshop you had was absolutely wonderful. I mean, I wish you could have more of that because there's a lot of more understanding. And the biggest thing was everybody talked. Everybody gave their comment. And I just wished that Kenny was here, all of them, was here to hear it. And look on the YouTube and find it. Because they had a lot of good comments here, lots of good ones. And I'd like to ask City Council members, not Max, not Tim, because they've already said something. Tim, who was that young man that was here that spoke? Do you remember?
Earlier tonight?
No, at the last meeting when we got up. And then you had spoke.
I don't.
Who's the one that, oh yeah, you do. Anyway.
I don't recall who it was.
Who he was? What's that? Oh, I think it maybe was him. Anyway, he got up and he did his thing and I did my thing of our opinions about the theater and that. I'd like to ask you, council, when this was all going on and that was brought up, why didn't you voice your opinions instead of wait until tonight? Because if you all would have voiced your opinions, that would have helped.
I have a point. I like to think about things. I'm not going to just off the cuff make a comment.
That wasn't the first time that was spoken about that.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna support what Jeannie said. A lot of us like to investigate, get comment from constituents and things like that. Also check within people within the city employment to find out so that we just don't pop off. We want to be well informed before we start to comment.
Okay, so aren't you well informed? Aren't you the liaison on that theater, on that board?
So
on the URA?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Mr. Cayley, in this circumstance, because in my opinion, we should not go around signing our names to public facilities, right? And I just, that's what I believe. But because that is not a matter of law, that's a matter of opinion, then I brought it up to council at our last meeting, and then we had the workshop this evening so we could discuss it, and then we'll put it on the next agenda for action, much like we do with ordinance changes, because it gives time for, like Councilor Demas and Thompson, and I think Pedri, and I know Robinson, that to go down and look and see what it actually looks like. It would be bad governance and bad form to say, I need your opinion now, because they need that time, just like with the dogs in the cemetery, to hear from the people that we represent, so that when we are discussing things and making decisions for the community as a whole, we're making an informed decision. And unfortunately, there are times when even doing that, we miss people, because even though the process is slow, it's not that slow.
I understand that now that you're saying that. And so now I can conduct myself a little different than what I do in my questioning, or instead of saying these things, but to question, people in that. And I like that, what Tim said about that roller thing and stuff. But the thing that got me than anything is I saw this that was on the Facebook, and it was like, whoa, okay. So you're saying 6 and 8 years that's been there. And
That's what I was told.
Oh, is that what you were told? I'm sorry.
Yes, I went and asked, and that's what I was told.
And that was told, and yet nobody knew anything about it. Well, if that's a historical building and these guys put their names on it, then why shouldn't people see it, or why shouldn't people know that this is done now? I've had Kenny and a couple of other people tell me that this is done in Salt Lake, and that's what they do, the theaters do in Salt Lake, and yet there's no proof that is done.
Well, and I think
Wait, I'm not done.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. There's no proof that is done, but if there was and it's shown of that, then that's different. But are we supposed to believe everybody?
Well, I think, one, that it's important that we give people the benefit of the doubt, and we can always verify things. But I do believe the suggestion that was brought to Councilor Robinson, where they could sign the playbills, and those could be displayed, and then people could all participate in experiencing that history.
But the ones that come in there, nobody's going to go in the dressing room, to see that, and it's supposed to be, popular and spiritual for them, that they do, but nobody sees it, and so this other way of what Tim's talking about, and that the people that go in there will have that opportunity to see that and then understand why it's being done and why they're doing it. Now, just one more, it's on the dog, on the cemetery. I have never once in all this time that I've been up the cemetery, got plenty of family up there, have I ever seen any of these dog walkers let their dogs off the leash? Not one. Never had an argument with any of them because they had the leash on. The problem I had is they had long leashes, right? When they had the long leashes, they'd walk, the dogs would go over and they would wet on the grass, and that's the things I saw. And then I saw them on the grass, walking the dog, and they had long leashes. Now, it looks like you're gonna say that'll be okay. Let him do it and stuff. Maybe you ought to put it to where they have shorter leashes, to where they're walking with their master. I love dogs. I bred German Shepherds and had dogs, but there's got to be something to it.
It does say in the ordinance that they need to be on an established path within the cemetery.
I understand that. There's the path that is going there.
So that, but that
Someone will
means
walk on the path because the car comes this way. The car comes this way. So they come this way. What I'm saying is the dogs that they have a long leash. And that's what I've seen is these dogs with the long leash, do their thing.
I think, though, it reads animals may only be taken by their owners onto the established paths within the Rock Springs Municipal Cemetery. So allowing them a long lead to go out into the actual grassy area is prohibited by the ordinance. So they would have to stay on the paved path the way it's written. So if someone is doing that, they are violating the ordinance and they would be ticketed for an animal at large.
And then how do you find that out? No, I mean, is it like when I go up there and I see them doing this?
I think
You know,
we
it's-
rely on, and just to be clear, not to go too wild, I personally, right, I'm never going to take my dog to a cemetery because my grandma would turn over in her grave and come and haunt me. But I recognize that other people have different beliefs about that. So it would be the same way that it would be now. The cemetery employees would contact the PD and say, we have somebody who's letting their dog run willy-nilly on a long
Or
lead.
on
And then an officer would come and say, hey, that's not allowed. And if they're a repeat offender, then they would be cited. But it wouldn't be up to citizens on patrol. It would be through the city employees and the police department to enforce that ordinance.
You have citizens on patrol there?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying
I was
we
gonna
don't.
say.
We have police and employees who
Oh, I was
oversee
gonna
and
say,
regulate those things.
That would be a good one. I mean, that would be something. But that's my opinion. And number one, I like to tell these two young ladies, and I like to tell these young people here, that's what your First Amendment is to speak up on what your thoughts are. Just like you all had the First Amendment. But do you ever notice how people, when you get up and you do the First Amendment, Max, you know very well, as I do, we voiced our opinion on how we felt, right? And yet we were taken down big time on rants. Did you see rants and how Max was really cut down? And the crazy thing about it was it didn't stay with what we were talking about. It went further to other things that had nothing to do. And the things that were said about me were actually pretty cool. I got to say that. It was like, hey, you just proved that you don't have the First Amendment. So I just wanted to say that, Max, City Councilman, remember what the First Amendment is for all of us, not for some of us, for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address us this evening?
Hello, my name is Chelsea Putnam. I am here as a performer and as a resident, I forgot the word, but here, representative, that's the word, for the Horizon Theater as Corey and Sarah Shaper-Cotter, owners of Horizon Theater out of town. I would first like to say that I applaud and appreciate your patience with some of the comments that have been made tonight. I could not hold back rolling my eyes at a couple points, so I applaud you for not doing that. So I would like to read what Sarah and Corey had written because they aren't here to speak otherwise. And then I just want to read a couple of things from what I had written earlier instead of the whole thing, and will do so quickly as to not take up too much of your time. One thing we at the Horizon Theater value about this community, along with many other residents of Rock Springs, is its history. Rock Springs prides itself in its history, and we wear it on our chest, the good and the bad. We remember everything. We engrave it. The signatures on the wall are no different than any other history Rock Springs has. It is more recent Rock Springs history, but it is important all the same. This wall has many signatures from many different artists and companies. We at the Horizon Theater have our first show as a company forever embedded on that wall. We have seen communities grow, families and friendships develop, and talents blossom because of the productions the company has put together. The Broadway Theater is more active now than ever, which includes our 4 local theater companies, local bands, and guest artists from all over the country. Why is this, it has become a hub of activity over the last couple of years. Why is this the one thing that we're choosing to erase as a town that prides itself in history? As the representatives of the city, you have the power to let that memory stay on the wall. In that theater, it would be hypocritical to be proud of the history that Rock Springs has and erase something so powerful and so important to so many people. We are the residents of Rock Springs, and from our understanding, Rock Springs is proud of our history. We want to express our gratitude and appreciation to the City of Rock Springs and to all those who attended the City Council tonight for taking the time to make sure all points of views and opinions are heard. As a theater company, we pride ourselves in letting our voices and opinions be shared. But at the end of the day, we have to look at those opinions and choose which ones we let dictate our choices. We understand that concerns regarding vandalism and destruction of property, but we want to assure you that any performer or company who utilizes this space does so with the utmost respect towards the Broadway, the building, and its history. Several artists who have performed at the Broadway Theater are very well known or have the potential to be well known. Would the City Council really erase valuable history because a few persons deemed it graffiti instead of understanding its cultural and historical significance? The signatures on the wall speak for many who do not want it erased, and as world history has shown, silence is not an option. As for myself, the dressing rooms under the stage have a wall that are covered with signatures of actors who have lived inside of them for the run of a show, leaving our mark. Theater is a medium of the moment. Our performances are done at specific times in the universe that is shared by performers, the crew, and that particular audience. And then it is gone from the physical and tangible world. It is filed into the memories of every person involved. It is the shared moment that make me love live theater. It's this connection, this shared memory that make it all worthwhile. Each signature on that wall represents a treasured experience. It represents an individual with a story to tell, a perception of a moment in time that is unshakable and beautiful. It is a way to capture a sense of permanence and immortality. A piece of art that is viewed only once and must be held on to. When we look at those signatures, we take a moment to bask in those perfect memories, those moments that have become immortal. Theater is life-changing. It gives community members a chance to dare and scare themselves, to find and share their talents, to spread their wings and their horizons, and often to find a home. The signatures on the wall are a reminder of the beauty that comes when a community works together. It's a piece of history that generations from now will be able to come and see their grandparents' names and be able to be a part of those memories. As someone who has signed the wall at least 15 times, who has spent literally hundreds of hours inside the Broadway putting on multiple shows, and who has now dedicated over 20 years of their life to the performing arts, I ask you to let us keep this part of our history, to let us keep this sacred space. And I encourage anyone in the room who has never been to one of the many productions that are put on each and every year to come and experience the beauty and community that we provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Mickelson, Council, thank you for your time. I'll try to make it short. My name is Jared. I'm a guitar player for Atlas Falls. I've had the opportunity to perform in the Broadway Theater and also sign the wall. I've spent the week calling theaters around the state and also around the Western United States. I've talked to privately owned theaters, but mostly city-owned theaters because that's what we're dealing with here. My research started with some of the most beautiful theaters in the country because I think you called it graffiti. So I started looking into that. And the Rialto Theater in Chicago is one of the most beautiful theaters in the country, widely regarded as so. It is a private theater, but they're also very proud of their signature wall. On their Facebook page, and you're welcome to go check it out, it's beautiful. They have signatures from performers and from politicians and from just all sorts of people. But of course, we're a city theater. So that led me to, I can't remember the town, but it's a town in Arizona. It's run by the URA. It also is very proud of their signature wall. And if you find me after this,
Can you address
I will.
Can you
I'm
address
so
us,
sorry.
though?
If you find me after this, I will give you the link. You can see where the theater is in Arizona. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's URA run. They're very proud of their signature wall. I also talked to city-run theaters around the state. A couple of them have signature walls. I'm going to be honest with you, a couple of them don't. Nobody is against having a signature wall. Some just don't have one. My contact with them has made several theaters around the state think that maybe they should have a signature wall. Also, in all of my research throughout the week, I've talked to a lot of theater managers, the biggest of which is, and if anybody listens to music, you're going to know Red Rocks Amphitheater. It happens to be owned by the city of Denver, and they are also very proud of their signature tunnel. Jimi Hendrix, The Who, whoever you like, they're on that wall. City owned, all very proud. Basically, it's up to you. If you think that it's cool enough to keep, we're going to have it. It sounds like you have a very good plan. I'm all for it. But if she can change her mind, more power to her. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
No.
Queen Creek, that's the one. Thank
very
you.
good.
That's the one.
I will say, just so everybody is aware, and I think the council would probably agree with me, I am absolutely delighted at the number of people who come to speak to us on a variety of topics. Our system of government works best when citizens come and express their opinions and tell us their reasons why. You know, we're all invested with certain authority because we were elected, but we are human. And we have our own biases. I love going to the theater, but I don't know if you can tell this about me. I've never performed, and I, in fact, hate public speaking and being on camera. So this is, yeah. But I do appreciate everyone coming down here to share and let us know their thoughts, because it helps us to make a truly informed decision. So if you're not doing anything October 1st, we'll be back here at 7 o'clock and we'll be voting, and you can see the outcome of your efforts and Shirley's efforts, and we are a community and we are neighbors. We are not in conflict with each other just because we have different opinions, right? We are here to support each other and to thrive together as a community, and we are not always going to agree on how that looks, but once we make a decision, hopefully we can all pull together and support each other, because if we don't have that, we don't have much of a community at all. So
That's fair.
Thank you.
If you want any facts, though, I have a big bundle with links. Just saying, if you'd like them. Thank you.
Very good.
It's very high energy.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Come on down.
I just wanted to speak really
Oh,
quick
sorry.
on the wall thing. No, you're okay. I'm kind of small, so no everybody sees me. So actually, there is historical accuracy to signing the wall. The act of signing a wall in the green room of a theater dates back to the 14th century. So that's like before William Shakespeare. And also, signing the wall it's a petition in living form. It is putting our mark on the world, and it is telling people that we have done this. And I think the idea of signing the posters and stuff is actually a really good idea, because then people could see it. But also, she mentioned that not everybody could see the signatures already in the green room. However, anyone that has actually performed in the Broadway Theater can see it, and they can tell their friends and take pictures of it. So really, there is no possible way that someone hasn't seen it. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm on a different subject. Go ahead. Okay.
Hello. I'm really glad that you brought up the point of the more people come and talk about a subject, the more well-informed you are to make a decision on that subject, because I love talking about subjects.
We forgot. What's your name, miss?
Oh, I'm Lark Croft. I'm a student at Western Wyoming, and I'm also here as a performer to talk about the wall thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your name?
I'm Mars Reese. I'm also a performer and a student at Western Wyoming Community College.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did some research in preparation for this meeting. I've been informed that this is more of a like city rights and like legal property issue as opposed to a First Amendment issue, but I did some research. So I went to congress.gov and I did research on the First Amendment. The congress.gov is described as the Constitution annotated. And through my research, I got Amendment 1.7.16.1, Overview of Symbolic Speech. The Supreme Court has said that conduct will be sufficiently communicative to bring the First Amendment into play if there's an intent to convey a particularized message, and the likelihood was great that the message would be understood by those who viewed it. So our conduct is signing the walls of the Broadway Theater and performing there. And the message is that these signatures convey a sense of community, of play, of camaraderie in a world that is growing steadily more difficult to live in. Erasing these messages also erases the message of community, kinship, and emotional vulnerability that we've worked together to build throughout the years. It's community theater. Community theater is theater that anyone can audition for. You can go, you can audition, you can be a part of the experience. And the whole point is to strengthen community ties and to bring people together. I personally love the idea of signing the posters and the playbills and the canvas. I think all of those are great ideas. But something that I think was important for me to mention was I read the Rocket Miner article and the Sweetwater Now article before I prepared my thoughts for tonight. The main thing that confuses me was the quote from the Sweetwater Now article. For Mickelson, someone could come along and write a vulgar or profane message on the wall while signing their name to it, and it would be as valid as the names already written there, saying the city couldn't only paint over a vulgar section. With all due respect, yes, the city could. Like, you could paint over a vulgar section, and I would like to say that profanity and vulgarity do not necessarily equal that it's something that is hateful and needs to be removed. A lot of theater is profane and vulgar, my primary example being Shakespeare. I think we all know Shakespeare as a very revered poet and playwright, but he wrote a lot of vulgar things, but that does not make his work any less valuable. For example, the famous quote, "Some men are born great, some die great, and some have greatness thrust upon them," is often considered to be very inspirational, which I think it can be. However, in context, it's referencing a butler's desire to thrust his greatness upon the lady of the house who has hired him. And we still revere Shakespeare as a great poet and a great playwright, and the profanity in his works does not make it any less real and emotional because theater has to happen in the moment. It's inherently expressive, it speaks to the human condition, and the human condition is not always palatable and pristine. Theater has been very spiritual for me throughout my life. A lot of theater, the origins of theater can be traced back to like religious ceremonies in a lot of cultures. There's very many gods of theater historically. And to close, I'd like to share with you a line from a song that I love very much. And I hope that you'll try to think about why I find it so poignant for this discussion specifically. The line is from The Sound of Silence from Simon and Garfunkel, which is, "The words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls and echoed in the sound of silence." Thank you.
I am Kathy Phelps, and I haven't been to a meeting in a long, long time. So, and on the dog issue, which is what I'm going to address in a minute, I'm not sure of everything that's been going on, but real quick on the Muir property, because I used to live down there a long time ago. Muir Avenue, I'm assuming you're talking about the part that's west end of Muir. Used to be a fire lane, so was that all taken care of? Is that part of that property? Because that used to be a fire lane going down there. So, but it's not my concern. I was just curious. So, wait a minute. Okay. So I'm representing two people, actually. And I want to do his first because I'll get confused. For those of you who do not know, it's on the dogs. And for those of you who do not know Doug Uhrig, he is very involved with the Legion. He's high up. He's very involved with the veterans, the columbarium, and they have done a lot of services out there. All right. So he started texting me like crazy. I hate smartphones. His problem is he doesn't want any more laws made that are not going to be enforced. He's calling them soft laws. He says he doesn't know if that's the right thing to call them. And I made him text it so I would not be misquoting him. That is what he is opposed to. He's technically pretty much opposed to it, but he does believe that he can let the sexton handle it. This is what he says. He's paid good money for the city, and there's already ordinances in place. If he wants to make exceptions to them, at least he would have a list of people that he could keep track of. And that's Doug. Okay. So, I'm with you. It's a cemetery. You know, I mean, it's disrespectful to have animals pooping and peeing in a cemetery. And I went to a gravesite service a couple years ago and was within an inch of stepping on dog crap. And we were not that far from a paved area. I think we're back 3 graves back from a paved area. Went to another gravesite service, a woman stepped in it. So, and regardless of what
So just a minute, Kathy.
Okay.
Could you tell them to tone the party down so we
Oh.
can hear?
Someone's having fun.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. And then, of course, there's the Rocket Miner paper with a guy who's been allowed to walk his dog for 10 years, and he's on the grass. So I'm not a dog hater. I used to have black labs before everyone starts labeling me a dog hater. But when I first heard about it, it's like, but it's a cemetery. Okay, I understand everyone has a different idea of cemetery. But dogs were not allowed. So why are people got dogs there? I always thought they were illegal dogs when I saw them out there. So if they weren't allowed, who gave the city employees the authority to go against local ordinance to say this is okay? That's a whole other thing. My thing is that I called about 30 people I know, people really comfortable with me that know me, and they're going to tell me what they think, whether I like it or not. 8 of them don't own dogs, and 8 of them are totally against it. Again, same thing, it's that respect issue. 2 of my dog owners said absolutely not, they would never consider taking their dogs out there. Out of the rest of everybody else, they are dog owners, and their opinion is there is nothing wrong with the dog crapping on the grave because the grave is 6 foot underneath. There is no problems with the dogs peeing on the headstones because it will wash off in the rain. But I've been doing lookup, and guess what? It doesn't wash off in the rain. It has to be power washed off. It sometimes has to be painted over. It does do damage to the stones. So, I have strange things. My thing is, as far as my opinion goes, it's no. If you take on the responsibility of a dog, you're taking on the responsibility of a dog. If the dog needs exercise, don't want to walk across ice, and I don't like walking across ice. There are some sidewalks around public buildings and stuff that are just sidewalks, and they are better maintained. There's a lot of places they can be. And when you take on a dog, I had dogs. We never took them anyplace public. Took them in the backyard and played ball with them. They got their exercise. Let them go fetch a stick. Doesn't have to go onto some other property to get your dog exercised. Okay, I know you guys have probably already covered some of this, but one of the things I was looking into was cemeteries, and I ran across, I want to quote it right, national cemeteries. Got to make sure I word it right, because there's national cemeteries, other kind of cemeteries. There absolutely have been forbidden to have any animal other than service and military working dogs on any veteran-related cemetery, for the simple fact they've had the same problem. They have dogs interfering with graveside services. They've also, at Arlington, have had dogs doing that, also interfering with the services of the unknown soldier tomb. This is what people do with their dogs. They're happy to have their dogs, and then before too long, it's like, well, my dog isn't hurting anything. So one thing, I get back to Doug real quick. He wanted the dog on a 2-foot leash. If you're going to do the dogs on a very short leash so it cannot get onto the curb, onto the grass, stay away from everything. So I don't know what all you've covered, but there is another option. No one's going to like this one. If you want the dogs in the cemetery, I understand, but there's another option out there no one's going to like. They do make and are used. They have dog diapers. You can buy them in at least 4 of the stores here. You put the diaper on the dog. We don't have a dog poop and a dog peeing problems. We don't have damaged headstones. I'm sorry, but it might be a slight inconvenience for them. I don't think they're that expensive. You can go to Walmart. You can go to Murdoch's. There's a couple other stores. They have them. They've been there. And I've seen pictures of people walking their dogs in the city that have their dogs diapered. So that would alleviate any problem that I have. I just don't want to go to a grave and have to deal with that. Also don't want to go through the cemetery and have to deal with loose dogs, which I haven't seen that much of, but if they're there, hopefully we have a way of getting them picked up and maybe find if they actually have owners or not, so that nobody feels threatened to be someplace else. But I've walked in all different areas of this town, not even with my dog, because I didn't have a dog here. And I'm sorry, there's not that many places in the daytime that I feel that I would get mugged or beat up or tripped or harassed.
maybe I go all the wrong places, but you know, I'm down in this area. Sidewalks are usually clean. The guy runs around with that little machine, clears them off. Don't get really icy that much. You can walk around down here as long as you're picking up your dog poop. I don't think anyone down in this area is going to care, and it's not that far from other people's houses. So if you've got a dog, it's your responsibility, not other people's responsibility, to give up what they consider kind of holy so that your dog can get some exercise that they could get someplace else. I'm going to shut up now because I got way too many notes and they're not as organized as need to be. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Caleb Smith. I'm a resident of this town along with a member of multiple local theater groups. I'm a member of the Broadway Committee, and I wanted to just spend a quick time just to say thank you to members of the council who either attended the committee meeting or asked questions, both committee members and there. I want to say thanks to multiple members of city staff, answered questions as we work to get some information about other policies, working with members of the URA board who are appreciative for the service that they give. One of the things that came out of the committee meeting was we were encouraged to show support and to offer solutions where we can. Between those that were offered at the executive session tonight and the ones we're working with, and maybe we'll come up with a couple more by the time we get to the October meeting. I think we have some great things. We appreciate the opportunity to work in good faith with the city and its hardworking members. Just two things I wanted to cite from the executive session that stuck with me was the note that this is, according to legal advice the city has, that this is a landlord issue. You can allow it if you want to. We hope that as in the coming days, we're able to convince you that want it like we do. One of the other things that came up during the executive session was talking about First Amendment and where you allow stuff, and the hope that one or two people aren't able to disrupt the long appreciated tradition, something that brings a sense of community and collective history. I would just hope that you keep that in mind when it does come time to cast your vote. Thank you for your time.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Just one quick clarification. That was not an executive session. That was open to the public. It was a workshop.
Forgive me for its workshop. I wrote that down incorrectly. The error is all mine.
No worries. And I would note that under ordinance, the mayor is absolutely authorized to make that decision, and that I have chosen to use my discretion to make it a community conversation because I felt it was inappropriate for me to act alone in this case. So I would agree with you that it should not just be up to somebody who's fairly tightly wound when it comes to other people's property and public property specifically. So thank you.
No further comment on that. Thank you.
Is it about a new issue?
Can I not speak on a different thing?
Not if it's about an issue you've already spoken about. If it's a new one, if you want to talk about the theater wall, you can.
Well, I'm super in favor of like the theater, and I think that the idea sounds.
That you can speak about, just not dogs
That's
again.
all I have.
Okay, very good. Okay, with that, we will close. Yes, ma'am. No, you're fine. That's what we're here for.
I'm Audrey Jackson, and so the Westridge building is now the Desert View, but since Desert View is only going there for a year, what is going to happen afterwards? Because they remodeled and everything, and I know if it gets teared down, it's like a childhood thing for me.
So that would be something you'd want to approach the school board about. My understanding is that they're using it while they update several different elementary schools, and we're anticipating some fairly substantial population growth. So the intent of the district is to reopen it as an elementary school, but you'd need to go to the school district to get an actual accurate answer.
Okay. I'm actually her mom. Sorry. I am Sherry Jackson. The reason why she was asking was because she's actually doing a project for one of the college classes. It's a Wyoming history college class, and I'm supposed to do this and stuff.
Oh, very good. I would, when does the district?
Monday, first,
Is
First Monday of
First
the month,
Monday?
right?
Yeah, once a month. So the first Monday in October, which wouldn't be the first because that's when we meet on the first Tuesday. So the next week on Monday, if you go, they meet at 6 o'clock at the Central Administration Building, and they would be able to answer that with much greater accuracy than we could here at the city. So thank you. I'm tempted to be like, closed. Not really. Good? Okay, very good. With that, we will close public comment and move on to bills and claims, beginning with the bills and claims for September 17th, 2024. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for
Thank you.
September 17th, 2024.
I'm going to almost go auctioneer speed. Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councilor Zadi. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining.
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 Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining, bringing us to the salaries for September 6, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for September 6, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, so the motion by Councilor Demas, seconded by Councilor Zadi. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Abstaining.
Very good. Motion carries with Councilors Thompson and Pedri abstaining, bringing us to our one item of new business this evening, which is a request from the Rock Springs High School for approval of the homecoming parade route on October 3rd, 2024, beginning at 4:15 p.m. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Councilor Bertolo, seconded by Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to resolutions, the first being Resolution 2024-136.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract with R&D Sweeping and Asphalt Maintenance, LC, in the amount of $76,434.20, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
move to approve Resolution 2024-136.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. So we have a motion by Councilor Hickerson, a second by Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstain. R&D is a client of mine.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilor Zadi abstaining, taking us to Resolution 2024-137.
A resolution accepting and approving an Amendment 1 to the grant agreement between the Green River Rock Springs Sweetwater County Joint Powers Water Board Pump Station 2019 Project Agreement to the Wyoming Water Development Commission, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs to support said Amendment 1 on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-137.
Thank you. You guys picked a good meeting to come to. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bertolo. Motion by Councilor Demas, seconded by Councilor Bertolo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-138.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Barry Dunn McNeil and Parker LLC, doing business as Barry Dunn, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Bertolo?
I'd like to move to approve 2024-138. Or
Thank you.
why is it getting extended?
Grab a second, and then we'll...
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. So moved by Councilor Bertolo, seconded by Councilor Hanson. My understanding, and JJ can chime in if he needs to, is that in order to complete the work and present it to us, they needed an extension. There was an issue with the project lead having some medical issues. And they needed some more time to do that thoroughly. So they could have delivered a product to us, but they felt that it would be better to extend it to continue and finish all of the work. Is that a good summary, or did I botch it?
That's part of it. Part of it was we had it originally scheduled for the engagement period. in April and May, and I asked to move that engagement period into June, July, or late May and June, so that we could make sure that that would be a more enriched process, but we have more access to events, and not just our own, but other community events, Rods and Rails and such. So I asked for that movement originally, and so I compressed the timeline.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion? They will be presenting that at a workshop October 1st, beginning at 6 o'clock. So that should be good. And with that, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to resolution 2024-139.
A resolution accepting and approving a service agreement with Merchant McIntyre Associates LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, and authorizing and directing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBride as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-139.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. So it's motioned by Councilor Demus, seconded by Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? I would just note that in terms of return on investment, this has been a really, really good move that I wish I had come up with instead of just inheriting. They have done a very good job in securing quite a large amount of money for the city, from funds to move the Bitter Creek forward to quite a substantial sum to remove invasive tree species and plant trees, which I just saw today. People were delighted by the work that was being done at our entrances to our community. So, okay, with that, anything else?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
As I understand it, Merchant McIntyre basically works with government grants, looking for government grants. I would hope that we could get a like agreement with somebody that goes after private grants. If we could look at that at some point in time.
I certainly think there would be utility in looking to see if there are agencies that specialize in that, especially for a government entity, and also probably some state grant management that it's worth looking into. Yeah, so we'll check into it.
Your Honor.
No. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, they specialize in the federal grants. When we initially decided to take on the project, the idea was with a lot of the federal dollars pouring in at the time. That's why we decided to go this route, because they're in Washington, D.C., so right in the middle of it all. But they will, if we ask them to and point them in the right direction, look and help us write grants for private or for state grants, whatever we request, really. Okay. They'd assist us with.
We do have a happy problem in that we've reached a place where we have received enough grants that the compliance management.
I'm just looking for free money anywhere we can get it.
They make you work for that free money. So at some point, and I know that they're looking at software to help with the compliance management, but if we continue to be very successful in getting grants, we may have to look at an additional staff to oversee the compliance.
Cool.
So
That's a good problem.
it is a good
Very
problem.
good problem.
Yeah. No, I'll take it. All right. Very good. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to resolution 2024-140.
A resolution accepting and approving a form of contract with Fremont Motor Company, Rock Springs, Wyoming, in the amount of $68,466.63, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the city of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said contract on behalf of the city of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Henson?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-140.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Motion by Councilor Hanson, seconded by Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our final resolution of this evening, 2024-141.
A resolution accepting and approving a statement of work for health and benefits brokerage and a master service agreement between Willis Towers Watson Insurance Services West, Inc. and the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs to execute said statement of work for health and benefits brokerage and master services agreement on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
Move to approve Resolution 2024-141.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Whoa. I'm going to have to go with Councilor Botello with the second, Councilor Hickerson with the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our first of three ordinances this evening, 2024-11, which is on its third reading, so we will look for action to follow.
Repealing Section 4-416 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Minors in the Cemetery.
Okay, Council, I'd look for a motion.
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-11.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Has anybody heard anything about the kids part?
No.
Yeah, not a peep.
Just
Just
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah, just dogs. The dogs has been highly controversial.
Just one request that they be leashed.
2 foot.
Don't want minors in there after school hours, and others, we don't want to give the rights to 17-year-olds to have drunk parties out there.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be happening. We still have a curfew. So with that, Matt, if you'd run us through, please.
Councilor Pedri?
Yes.
Hickerson?
Yes.
Zadi?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Botello?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Demus?
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson?
Yes. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Bringing us to ordinance 2024-12, which is also on its third reading.
Amending Section 4-407 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Rules and Regulations to be Enforced.
Okay, Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Botello?
move to approve ordinance 2024-12.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilor Demus beat you to it. Sorry.
She's faster.
Do we have any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
My fear with this is it takes away any sort of teeth we have right now to punish those who are not following this current ordinance. So hopefully we can, again, I understand where the managers are coming from if they're okay with it. Our police force is always reactive due to lack of staffing, it seems. You're not patrolling the cemetery all day, every day, right?
It's not a hot spot for crime.
Actually,
your
we're not,
people
but
are better used elsewhere.
Our officers do patrol that area at night quite a bit, but during
Okay,
the day, not
but
much.
you got more important things to do with some of your officers. It's hard to argue.
Okay.
Drunk driving's harder or more important than fecal matter, I guess.
I think that the chief would
So-
argue that all laws are equally important. Based on his conversations with me where I've had a similar approach, and he's like, no, all the laws. And I'm like, all right, be that way.
We'll have to disagree, but without anybody calling, it's really hard for our police department and our animal control to really wrangle that. I understand, but if there is a nuisance, I would like to be able to at least have a method to handle it.
Your Honor, I believe you can still use, because there's still the dog at large if they're not on a leash, if they're just letting them run loose. And I believe there's ordinance if they don't pick up after the dog.
And they have to be on the path.
Right.
So they can't be on the grass.
Even though we're allowing them in, we still have the tools that if people are not being good stewards of the cemetery,
My concern is they will be less apt to use them.
I am really curious to know what feedback, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me who are very much opposed to it. But if I read the map correctly, which is a big leap, Councilors Robinson and Demus and Botello and Hanson, their wards border the cemetery.
Yeah.
And so what your constituents are the ones who are most directly impacted. I highly doubt that somebody is driving from out to Stassinos to walk their dog at the cemetery. So what feedback have you guys gotten?
Your Honor, I've talked to quite a few people about it and had a lot of discussions about it. Right now, I'm very much 50-50, it seems like. The people are very passionate on both sides, and they both make excellent arguments. The ones that want to walk and can do it respectfully and do a good job make a great argument. My initial feeling personally was no, but after talking to people and finding out and the responsibilities and stuff, I'm starting to feel that it's a positive thing and a good thing. And the same thing for the ones that are against it. They don't want, they want to keep the cemetery a place of reverence and a place of memories, and to not let anything disrupt those kind of sincere emotional moments that they want to keep going with. That, along with all the other petitions we had tonight, everybody that spoke here, I think there was two themes that came up, was responsibility and respectful. Whether it's writing on the wall or walking dogs, or even just being a good steward neighbor and making sure that the dust and dirt and stuff's there. As long as people are responsible and respectful, we have a pretty easy job up here. But when people are not responsible and respectful, that's when we have to look at things like this and have discussions like this. So I would hope that with going forward, that the citizens of Rock Springs can be respectful and responsible and take care of their business as they go forward from here.
Your Honor, first of all, compliments to Randy for his comments. I've had also about a 50-50. I ended up talking to our sexton. He didn't think it was going to be much of a problem. And the other thing is, it's a city ordinance. If we need to, we can come back and change it. That's my feeling. Because, like Councilman Thompson said, we also have things in place right now, dog at large, the whole cleaning up after themselves, that's my take on it.
I'll talk. I live real close to the cemetery. I had 3 that were against it. Everybody else that contacted me wants the ability to walk their dogs in the cemetery.
Your Honor, same thing. I think I talked to probably about 24 people, roughly 24. Out of those 4 said no. One was a couple that lives in our ward, and then the other 2 were people that approached me in Walmart that weren't in my ward that were against it and don't live anywhere near the cemetery. I don't foresee the number of people walking their dogs in the cemetery to increase significantly over the people that have already kind of been given the okay to do it from cemetery staff. And I was going to echo the same thing that Councilor Batolo said, is we can always revisit this in a year if there's a problem. And I would assume that the cemetery staff will kind of maybe keep track for us and let us know if it does end up being a problem. And I think that, again, it's that whole thing of, don't punish the many, because there's a few that don't want it. So I'll be voting for it.
For my part, everybody who has contacted me has been against it except for 3 people. These 2 nice ladies and my mother.
Case closed.
Yeah, who does live. She lives in Brent and Randy's ward. I don't like that we have an ordinance that we have not been enforcing, and I do like that if we do make this change, as long as everyone is aware, their dog has to stay on the paved path. So there should not be any dog on the grass. And I would far prefer to have an ordinance that we actually enforce than to have one that we're not enforcing. Although, again, as a personal stance, I don't think it's really appropriate to have a dog in a cemetery, right? Which is just, so it is, I think it would behoove us to accept the ordinance change with people understanding your dog has to stay on the paved path, so it can't be running wild on a 30-foot lead, peeing on gravestones. Those headstones are very expensive. I know a young lady who has a fairly severe developmental disability who went around and had to fundraise to purchase a headstone for her sister. You know, it was way outside of her family's ability to pay for, and I would hate to see it damaged because of carelessness. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not thrilled by dogs being there, but if they're on the path, I think that's a big improvement over we're just going to look the other way, like why not? So, very good. Okay, Matt, if you'd run us through.
Counselor Hickerson?
No.
Zadi?
I'm going to vote no as well due to the fact that I have received a number of calls and a lot of them against. And I do see this, it's a cemetery, it's not a dog park. There's plenty of other places to walk a dog. It's a place that people really hold in reverence, and it's a sacred place for people. I don't see why we need to allow dogs in the cemetery. So.
Hanson?
Yes.
Vitolo?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Demas?
Yes.
Pedri?
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson. I'm gonna go with no, just because I don't want dogs in the cemetery and I can count, so it's gonna pass and change. So I think that is a good outcome.
Your mother will be happy.
Yeah, which usually makes my life better. Okay, and our final ordinance of this evening is 2024-13, which is on its first reading. Not at this point in the meeting, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
An ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Rock Springs from R2 low-density residential to the zoning designation of B2 community business zone for a parcel of land totaling 1.069 acres and located in section 35, township 19 north, range 105 west of the 6th principal meridian in the city of Rock Springs, county of Sweetwater, state of Wyoming.
Thank you. Okay, with that, anybody have any council updates?